Hi guys, I'm Amber and welcome to my channel. Today I've got a second-hand book haul video of all the books that I've managed to buy in the last month or so from my local charity shops, so let's just get on with it. Okay, so the first few books that I picked up are books that I have read before but that I don't actually own. So when I was younger I used to use the library a lot, and a lot of my favourite books I got from the library, and so I never actually owned them. Or some of them I have on my Kindle as ebooks, but with some of my favourites I do like to have the physical copy as well, and when I see it in a charity shop for like 50p a pound, it's hard to say no. So the first one that I picked up was The Time Traveller's Wife by Audrey Niffenegger. I'm not sure how you say that name. But this one has been one of my favourites for a long time, since I read it about 10 years ago maybe. I've read this twice already. I love the film version, but I think I would like to read it again, since I would say this is like one of my favourites of all time, but because it's been such a long time since I read it, it would be nice to reread it again. So yeah, I got this one for like 50p. So a lot of you probably already know the story behind this one, but it's about a couple, Henry and Claire, and Henry is a time traveller. His time travel is involuntary. He will randomly time travel to a completely random place, different time, and he will always appear with like no clothes on. It's basically following Henry and Claire throughout their lives as they're meeting each other. Sometimes one of them knows the other, but the other one doesn't know them, if that makes sense. It's just a really nice book and I can't wait to reread it again at some stage. The next book I picked up was a favourite, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. I used to have all of these books somewhere, but between my mum's, my dad's, moving into like 3 different places since, I'm not sure entirely where they are, and I saw this for very cheap, and I really do like these editions. These are the ones that I just have always had, and I'm also trying to get my boyfriend to read the series. He's read the first 2 now, and we've got Prisoner of Azkaban, so I thought I would pick this one up so that he has to read them and share my love for Harry Potter. This one is actually one of my favourites in the whole series. It's a tie between Prisoner of Azkaban and Goblet of Fire. I just think there's so much extra details in this book that wasn't in the film, and yeah, I really love reading this one every time I get around to it, so pick that one up. And then this one was a bit weird because I randomly remembered this series like yesterday morning after reading it as a teenager. Went to my charity shops and saw this, which is the second one in the series, and it's the Numbers series. I think it's just called the Numbers series. Yeah. So this one is the sequel and it's called The Chaos, but the first one I think is just called Numbers. But it is a YA sci-fi kind of book where the main character sees the death date of a person in their eyes. So whenever she looks at someone, she'll see a date flashing, and that's the date that they will die. And she meets this boy, well, not in this one, but in the first book, she meets this guy and she likes him, but his death date is very close. I think it's within like the next couple of weeks or months or something like that. And yeah, this one just follows from it, but it's just this series that I would love to reread because I loved it as a teenager. And I was thinking I might do, like next year, I might do some sort of vlog series about me rereading like my old favourites, because yeah, I have a lot of like favourite series that I haven't read since I was basically a child. So the first one really hit me, and these just get darker and darker. So with this one, I won't read the entire of the back because it'll spoil the first one, but with this one there's a lot of different people that have the same death date in their eyes, so there's obviously something really terrible gonna happen. And yeah, great series, would recommend if you're into like YA, sci-fi, fantasy, not fantasy, it's very much a sci-fi sort of thing, so yeah. Okay, so if you've watched my other videos you will know that I bang on about Karen Slaughter in essentially every video I've made, but this is one of my favourite series of all time. It's the Grant County series by Karen Slaughter. I do have these books on my Kindle. I read them when I was interrailing a few years ago. I went interrailing for like a month in Europe and I read the entire like 7-book series on this trip. It was amazing, loved every second of it, and they're all on my Kindle because obviously I was travelling, so I wasn't going to haul the entire series around with me. But it has definitely become one of my favourite crime series ever, if not my top crime series ever. So I thought I should pick up the physical copies when I could find them. And I don't really like this cover, but I do just want the physical copies, and I'd rather get them secondhand since I've already read them than like buy them new or anything like that. So yeah, I will reread these at some point because oh my god, they're just the best. They're so dark, they're so intense and thrilling, and she's just the best writer. So yeah, that's that one. On to another book that I have already read and is one of my favourites of all time. I'm just trying to peel all the labels, the stickers off them, because they've all got like pound stickers on them. Oh, ew, I thought that was a sticker, but it's just part of the book. Winner of the Richard and Judy Best Read Award. Oh, but yeah, that's annoying that I can't get that off. Anyway, this is The Lovely Bones by Alice Sebold, and this is one of my favourite books as well. And I have read this a couple of times, again when I was younger. I think I was about 15, 16 when I read this book, and I would love to read it again because love the book, love the film, such a great story. Again, you might have heard of this already, but it's about this girl called Susie Salmon, and at the very start of the book she is killed by a serial killer who lives in her neighbourhood, and it follows Susie as she's in limbo between like life and heaven, and it also follows her family as they're grieving for her because they don't know exactly what happened to her. The reader does, but in their eyes she's just missing, and then they start finding more and more clues that she's actually died, and it's really sad, but it's also quite a heartwarming story of them like learning to live without Susie. And yeah, again, I just want to reread this book because I just loved it when I was younger, as is a running theme. But I think from now on all of these are books that are actually on my list to read, so yeah. Now the next ones are actually books that I haven't read. The first one is Everything I Never Told You by Celeste. I don't know how to say that, but it's just NG at the end. How I buy books, I try not to buy things on an impulse, or even just looking at the covers or anything, or reading the blurb and seeing if I like them, because I've got a list of about 100 books on my Goodreads that are books that I want to read. I will just specifically look for the ones that I know are already on my list, because I need to get that down, because it's a bit ridiculous to have like 100 books to read. I think on my Goodreads I've almost got as many books that I want to read as books that I've got read. That sounds weird, but you know what I mean. But this is on there, this is on that list. Oh, and it also actually says that it's similar to The Lovely Bones, so hopefully I'll love it. But this one seems to be about a girl called Lydia, who is the favourite child, but she is found dead. And oh, that's actually very weird that I've picked this one up after The Lovely Bones, because it does seem to be a similar story where it's about Lydia's family after she's died trying to come to terms with her death. It says it's a sensitive family portrait about love, lies and race, because the family are Chinese American, so that will be an interesting element to this story as well, so I'm really excited to get to this. Next up I've got Eenie, Meenie by MJ Arledge, and this is just a crime thriller book. I've heard so many good things about this book. I just love a crime thriller, and I really quite like the ones that follow detectives as well, and I think this is one of those. Yes, so it looks like it's following this detective inspector Helen Grace as she is investigating these crimes where, yeah, pairs of victims are going missing, and as the front says, one lives and one dies. So this sounds very interesting, and I'm sure I will love it. Excited to get to this. How many times am I going to say that about every book? Next up I've got The Whisper Man by Alex North, and I wasn't even sure that this was the book that I wanted to read because the cover, I've never seen this one before. I've only ever seen the I'll put it like up here, but yeah, odd. This one is like a thriller, I think it might be a horror as well. Oh my god, it's really annoying that there's all these little things that look like stickers on all these books, but they're not. Oh, at least it's a pretty colour though. It's like a reflective gold kind of cover. So this one is about Tom and his son Jake moved to Featherbank. They're looking for a fresh start, but this sleepy village has a dark past. 15 years earlier, a serial killer haunted its streets. In the days before he struck, his young victims claimed to hear whispers in the night. Of course, an old crime need not trouble Tom and Jake until another boy goes missing, and then Jake says he hears a whispering at his window. Ooh, creepy. So that sounds terrifying, and at the back of the book it says it's a seamless blend of Harlan Coben, who I like, Stephen King, and Thomas Harris, who I don't think I've heard of before. But yeah, I think this one should be good. Like I say, I love a thriller, so that one sounds exciting. And on to another thriller. So this one is Black-eyed Susans by Julia Haberlin. God, I'm so bad at saying last names. This one again was on my list. I believe it's about a girl who was kidnapped by a serial killer. I shall read out the back. Left with 3 other girls in a grave shrouded by black-eyed Susans, Tessa alone survived, her testimony helping to put a killer behind bars. Now, 16 years later, he's about to be executed, but Tessa feels no relief because someone is planting black-eyed Susans outside her window. Someone is sending her daughter sinister messages, and there's a lawyer telling her the man about to be put to death is innocent, which can mean only one thing. The wrong man has been sentenced, the real killer is still out there, and Tessa might not be the last black-eyed Susan. This sounds so exciting. Was I about to say that I love a thriller again? Yes, I was. I've heard good things about this. It's on my TBR. Sounds exciting, right? I love a dark story, and this sounds like it's going to be pretty dark. And I don't like miscarriages of justice. That's not the right phrase. But I get very emotional about miscarriages of justice, so I think this one will be a really interesting one. Another book that I have read before, The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky. My boyfriend actually picked this up from the charity shop and was like, hey, should we get this? And I was like, yes, because we both love this book, or we did when we read it as teenagers. And this film adaptation is one of my favourite films ever. I could watch it all the time. It's a nice short one, so I think it'd be good to read again. It's like 231 pages, and it's quite like big text as well, so this one could probably be finished in like an afternoon. So this book is about a boy called Charlie who is a freshman at high school, and he struggles to make any friends. His only friend, I think, committed suicide. He feels very alone. Then he meets these seniors, the main two being Patrick and Sam, who are stepbrother and sister, and he forms a friendship with them. It's like a coming of age story, but it's also quite dark. There's aspects of mental health issues, trauma, abuse. It's quite a sad story, but I think it's also quite a nice like coming of age, first love, making friends, you know, that kind of story. So yeah, love this one, and I'm glad to finally have my own copy. Well, a shared copy with my boyfriend, I guess. And then the last one I got, this was an exception to the I only buy what's on my TBR rule, because my boyfriend picked this out for me and said he thought I would love this one based on the sound of it, and I completely agree. He's a good egg. This one is a sci-fi one, sci-fi fantasy dystopia kind of story, and these used to be my absolute favourite when I was younger. I used to love dystopia. I've got so many like YA dystopia favourites, and I don't know if this one is YA or if it's like an adult dystopia, but I shall read it out for you. In the near future United States, a one-child policy is ruthlessly enforced. Everyone follows the rule of one. But Ava Goodwin, daughter of the head of the Texas Family Planning Division, has a secret, one her mother died to keep and her father has helped to hide for her entire life. She has an identical twin sister, Myra. For 18 years, Ava and Myra have lived as one, trading places day after day, maintaining an interchangeable existence down to the most telling detail. But when their charade is exposed, their worst nightmare begins. Now they must leave behind the father they love and fight for their lives, branded as traitors, hunted as fugitives, and pushed to discover just how far they'll go in order to stay alive. Ava and Myra rushed headlong into a terrifying unknown. This sounds so exciting. I really like the cover of this book as well. Did I even say what it was? It's The Rule of One by Ashley Saunders and Leslie Saunders. Is this like a sister duo? If so, that is so cute. It will be nice to read a sci-fi dystopia book again, because I do read a lot of crime thrillers because they are my favourites, but I feel like sci-fi dystopia books are so memorable to me from when I was younger, so hopefully this one could potentially be a new favourite. And that's all the books that I have this time, so I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments if you've read any of the books that I've mentioned, if you have any recommendations for me based on these, or just whatever you want to say basically. I'll see you in my next video. Bye!